and gentlemen, I must tell my story. It's a two-part story. Number one, my first experience in jail was in 1960 in Atlanta, Georgia, when Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., his brother A.D. Williams King, and I were incarcerated because we dared to stand up to break down an evil system of segregation based on race at lunch counters, in rich department store. We had to work out on the farm in Fulton County, up at 4:30 in the morning, simply because we were trying to fulfill what this nation should have been about, and that is equality of opportunity for all. The next time it was in Savannah, Georgia, a place called Tybee Beach, where black folks could not even wade in the water with whites because of the color of our skin. The third time was in my hometown of Jackson, Mississippi, on the occasion that I took my 85-year-old neighbor to the University of Mississippi Medical Center, who was experiencing a severe case of hiccups. When I walked in, as they had him on the stretcher by his side, a young white doctor comes up and says, "What's wrong with that boy?" And I looked him right in the eye. I said, "Wait a minute, what's wrong with you? Can't you see that's a man and not a boy?" He retorted, "I know what it is." My response, at the age of 17, well, your insistence on calling him a boy or an it is just a byproduct of stupidity. And immediately, he said to the clerk, "Call the cops. Call the cops. This is one of those smart niggers." And when the chief of police with his deputy came out to arrest me, they had already gotten my rap sheet. And one said to the other, "What are we going to get him for this time?" The deputy said, "Well, we just arrest him for using profane language in public." And I was locked up, George, spent 2 nights in jail because I would not let a young white racist man call my neighbor boy. For in Mississippi in those days, whether you were 8 or you were 80, you were still considered a boy. What does that have to do with today? And I end here. In San Francisco, they are treating us all like we are boys. George Bernard Shaw said once, the worst sin that you can pay to your fellow person is not to hate him or her, but to be indifferent toward him or her. For that is the height of inhumanity. Brother George, on last Tuesday at the Board of Supervisors, I saw the height of inhumanity. When that very board, down to every supervisor, was so indifferent to black folks in this town that though they spent nearly an hour extolling gay pride, and I'm not against that, there's not a homophobic bone in me. I believe we should respect all people. But they spent 50 minutes to an hour permitting every supervisor to give a citation, to give a plaque, to give roses out, extolling the leadership of iconic people in the gay community. After they finished, I went to the clerk's office and I said to the clerk, in the last 3 weeks, has any supervisor introduced measures acknowledging that this is the 400th year of the commencement of the slave trade? Has any supervisor introduced a measure acknowledging that we are in the midst of Juneteenth? My friends, to my sadness and dismay, after the clerk of the Board of Supervisors in the city and county of San Francisco hit their computer, response was, Reverend Brown, nobody introduced a measure. And I said, when public comment time came around, we can talk all we want to about San Francisco being a progressive liberal city, but we are just as racist as the worst racist expression in the Deep South that locked me up back in the 1960s. Ladies and gentlemen, it's high time that we realize that we're in the plight that we are in San Francisco because these people in the system don't respect your humanity. And it's time for us to speak up, to stand up, to fight up, to make sure that we hold on to what we have left in this town, or else they're going to push us all into the Pacific Ocean and we will be an afterthought. So I'm inviting you tomorrow to come to the NAACP meeting at 3 o'clock, at which time we're going to deal with keeping that heritage center in this community. That corner over there belongs to black folks. The redevelopment agency pushed us out, killed our businesses, and kept us from having economic empowerment. I invite you to join us when we will say to those board of members and supervisors, don't make decisions for us. We got a brain to think for ourselves, to do for ourselves, to plan for ourselves. This measure about closing juvenile hall is not about mass incarceration. We know what this is all about, and what Miss Alexander wrote about, that was dealing with adult incarceration. But juvenile hall at its best was to be a place where children could receive tender, loving care who were a problem to themselves and a problem to others. That's what it ought to be about. But those people who crafted that legislation on that board didn't say boo to any black leader in the faith community, didn't say boo to any civil rights advocacy leader. And we got to stop letting people make decisions for us. Whatever should happen to juvenile hall, it should be decided by the elders and the young folks coming together and saying to them, this is what we want. For we can think for ourselves, plan for ourselves, and do for ourselves. Thank you for indulging me, but I had to say it this morning. This is our story. And we thank George for what he's doing for the good of the people. And we ought to give Brother Simpson a big round of applause. For I love those stories that I have. You need to come to Third Baptist. You need to go through the hood so we can do like we used to do when we sat down and we talked with each other, the old folks and the young folks, and we share our mutual heritage, history, and culture. I just feel all right this morning. I'm ready to shout to be here amongst these men and to be with brothers and to see that we are still in San Francisco. But what's left, we got to connect with each other, encouraging each other, enlighten each other, have empathy for each other, be excellent in everything that we do, and when we do that, we shall be empowered, and no more will they look over us, but they will have to face us, for we will be at the table to make our own decision. God bless you. Heaven smile upon you.